My name is Christy Aloisio, and I am a counselor at Healing Hearts of Indy in Indianapolis, Indiana. We do individual, marital, and group counseling here at Healing Hearts of Indy. Today I wanted to continue my series on marital fact or fiction, where I am taking popular myths or beliefs about marriage, and I'm either talking about why that is true or why that is not true. So today I wanted to kind of move on to the next issue that people think about marriage, which is that most marriages get in trouble or suffer because of communication issues. So this is something that I hear quite often in my office when people first come to see me, and I start their assessment, and I'll ask them, why are you here, or what can I help you with? And a lot of times one of their first responses, or one of the first issues that comes up, is they talk about their communication. We can't communicate. So, I feel like what I say to him, he doesn't hear me, or that he's holding back and he's not opening up to me, or, I could tell that there's something wrong with her, but she won't tell me. And so people think that might be, the underlying issues going on in their marriage. So, they feel like they could come in here and I'm going to help them learn how to better say things or how to better hear things, and then that will put their marriage where they want it to be. So I'm going to pretty much say I feel like that's a myth, that I think communication issues are a symptom of bigger problems. So, if there was an iceberg, what people always come into my office for is up here at the tip of the iceberg. These are the symptoms. This is what they're saying is causing them pain and unhappiness in their relationship. So I always say, for example, if somebody comes into my office and they say, Christy, I'm here for rage issues, I got anger problems, I need you to help me. A lot of therapy would be surrounding, okay, well, let's learn coping mechanisms for when you feel like you're starting to get upset, and learning to count to 10 when you're starting to get angry. But the problem is then you're only focusing on this much of the iceberg, and you have not focused at all on why the person is angry to begin with. And so that's kind of how I see communication issues being in marriage, is that they're up here. There's a symptom that they can say, this is easy for us to see, so we know that something's wrong, so fix this. But the problem is, if we just work on that, and I teach people how to better talk to each other, it feels like a Band-Aid fix. Okay, so it's going to work probably short term, a few months, 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. But the issue is you haven't really worked on why they can't communicate to begin with. You haven't worked on the underlying causes. And so, eventually that Band-Aid gets ripped off, and then people feel like they're back where they started. You have to, change is very hard, and to make change long-lasting, it has to be deep-rooted, and people have to really get to the deeper issues and change those for it to be lasting for themselves and for their marriage, or their relationship. So, one example that I think with the communication issues is, I've got several clients that really hate conflict, and so they avoid it at all costs. They're not going to talk about it. They've got all of this maybe displeasure going on about the relationship or certain parts of the relationship, and they are not going to share it with the other person. What happens eventually is the other person can see that, and they can sense that person's pulling away from the relationship or being unhappy. And so they're like, he won't talk to me, or she won't talk to me, and I don't get it. I'm open, and I'm telling them, I'm here if you want to talk about things, and they don't. And so they can come into my office, and I can try to get that person, okay, here's how you handle conflict, here's how you would talk through conflict, here's how you might want to bring it up. I could talk to the other spouse and say, maybe this is a good way to get your spouse to feel open to talk about conflict, or how you can help facilitate that on your end. But again, there's a reason that person doesn't want to be around conflict. So just as an example, if somebody grows up in an environment where their parents don't fight very much, there isn't very much conflict. But every time there is conflict, it's over the top. It's big. Thinking of every time there's conflict, the dad takes off. He gets angry and he leaves. Well, that can be really hard for kids. They don't understand that sometimes people get upset and they just need some time. What they think is, oh my God, Dad's angry and now he's gone. So that would already create some bad feelings around conflict. So just add in maybe every time that happens, he came home drunk afterwards, or every time that happened, the mom was sitting at home excessively worrying about the dad being gone. So again, in a kid brain, you can't think about this through your adult brain. You have to try to remember what it was like to think like a kid. The kid thinks every time there's anger, every time there's conflict, it equals a whole lot of tension and bad feelings in the house and for me. And those are feelings and kind of connections that we start to put together as kids, and they don't just go away when we turn 18. They're still there. As much as people like to push those down and pretend that they're not, they're there. And so now, if say it's the husband who experienced that growing up, that every time he feels like his wife is starting to get angry or getting ready to have conflict, all of that old anxiety and fear and tension come up for him, and he said, I don't like this, it's not good, shut it down, because something bad will happen if we have conflict or if we argue. And so, that obviously for the wife can be very frustrating and feel like he doesn't hear me, I can't talk to him, I can't talk to him when I'm angry, we can't talk about difficult conversations, we can't communicate. Christy, help us communicate. So again, it's not about teaching him how to bring it up or teaching her to bring it up with him. It's about he's got to work on those deeper rooted fears about anger, and their communication on difficult subjects or on conflict is not going to change until he starts to work on that. Now, of course, there's going to be some other issues over on the wife's side. I wouldn't just say it's completely on him, but that's a place to start, is we got to figure out how he starts to change some of those connections that he has made in his brain, that anger is always a bad thing. And so that's just an example, and it can be around intimacy, it can be around, people have uncomfortable, really bad feelings about talking about sex because of things that they've experienced and connections that they've made. It could be about the kids, it could be all different kinds of things that people have adverse feelings or like weird connections that they've developed over those. And so it's not just about that husband doesn't want to share with his wife when he's angry. It's really a deeper problem, and it's really hard for him to do so. So again, that it's great to have a third party to kind of help point those things out and to help walk the couple through that so that they can have conflict, because without that communication and without being able to have conflict, it will eventually drive that husband and wife apart from each other. Conflict is a normal part of relationships. I feel like it's better, I worry more about couples who never fight than couples who fight all the time, because you take two people and ask them to live their lives together and share space together and to perform all these tasks as a team. They're two different people at the end of the day, so there's going to be conflict and there's going to be disagreements about things. So, that's normal, and couples need to be able to figure out how to have conflict. So to answer the quick question of, it's just communication issues that's causing issues in our marriage, I think that's a myth. I always think that there's deeper issues going on that is causing the communication issues, and those are what's really important to hone in on and to make better and to improve on. So if you have any myths or popular sayings about marriage that you would like me to talk about, whether that's myth or fact, I'd be happy to do that. You can contact me at Christy@healingheartsofindy.com. That's CHRISTY@healingheartsofindy.com. Thank you.